Today what I wanted to bring to you guys was a little talk about that, about the temperature, about the tapas, about the fire, and how we don't want things easy. I know that sounds like completely counterintuitive to what we're being told, what we've been taught, what society tries to teach us and tell us, but we don't want this easy. Believe you me. The easier it is, the less we learn. The easier it is, the softer, the weaker we become. The less we think for ourselves. And that's a big part of this path, this practice. Understanding that it is a self-practice, it's a self-realization practice, and only the individual, the practitioner, can advance themselves. No matter how many hours you practice, if the practices aren't done with the proper procedure, the proper scientific method, then there's no real attainments that are as powerful or meaningful as those that you could truly find if you were to delve in with the truest practice. So when we do think about how the practice and the difficulty of the practice can influence our growth within, then we don't always need it to be a physically demanding practice. We don't need it to be physically difficult. Sometimes what we need more so, and most of the time what we need more so, is the mental practice, the mental stability, the altering of our own perception, of our own opinion, the expansion of our own, our sensory awareness, and the detachment from sensory stimulus. So let's put it like this. Let's go real easy, real simple with an analogy. Let's say that you are a cook, and all you ever cook is food. This is an analogy that's going to tell us why tapas, why the difficulties within the practice, both physically and philosophically, psychologically, are so important. So back to that analogy, you are a cook. And you're a cook in a restaurant that makes raw food. So I guess you're cooking very minimal. You might be making some sauces. You might be making the shells, the tortilla. Maybe you bake the bread. But the cooking of everything else, the ingredients, stay raw for the most part. You make salads, sandwiches, and you never really have to interact with the heat. Now change that to a short order cook, right? In a really busy breakfast restaurant. They are sitting by that hot stove all morning, sometimes all day. And because of that, they grow calluses. Their hands get tougher. Even their face, their skin gets tougher to the heat being there all the time. So for us to walk up to that table on that first day, that stovetop, we would think, this is impossible, this is excruciating, to stand here for hours on end, standing in front of this stovetop, taking all these orders and, throwing food out as fast. This is impossible. So we don't think that there is a way to train ourselves. But what if there was? What if there was a way to do it in little spurts, in little segments, and to taste it, to test it, to just bring your hands closer to the fire and then slowly pull them back, and do that little by little, more and more each day, until you are ready for that 8-hour shift in front of the stove? Well, that's the mental practice of yoga. We're not going to be expected to be able to jump right in, feet first, head first, all the way to the bottom of the rabbit hole. That would be overwhelming. That would be impossible. It would really fry or short circuit the system, and then it would become unattractive. The glee, the bliss, the eternal love that you could feel for others and feel for yourself, it would have this blockage in front of it where there was too much shock to the system. We couldn't stand there for 8 hours and keep ourselves near the stovetop. We couldn't sit in that lengthy meditation and put ourselves closer to the source. So what I want you to think of is that there are ways to do this. There are ways to start with the smaller components of the practice, the breath work, the holding the body still, the holding the control over the breath as you're controlling the body. And that's something that's lost a lot of the times. Those are the third and the fourth limbs of yoga. Now take it a step further and say, what's the fifth limb? Pratyahara, sensory withdrawal. And if you think the other two are difficult, wait until you get to that one. Having to restrain the senses from their stimuli. Impossible? At first, it might seem that way. But with practice, and more practice, all is possible. All is coming. So remember, to sum it up, throw yourself into the fire. Pull yourself out quickly if you're not ready for it. But be fearless enough to at least throw yourself in. At least start walking towards it. Otherwise, someone might walk up to you and whisper in your ear that the fire is too hot for you. You might believe them. You'll miss out on all that growth, on all that strength. Similarly, someone might tell you that the path of yoga, the practice of meditation is too difficult. It's not worth it. You might believe them. And then you miss out on all that eternal bliss. That unconditional love for others and unconditional love for yourself. And I wouldn't want anyone to miss out on that. So I hope you are blessed. I hope you are having a beautiful day. And I hope you always remember, you are loved. Have a great day, everybody. Peace.